Hello, YouTube. It is Sunday, the 18th, August 18th, 2019. I want to bring you a story out of the Knoxville area. It is involving Eric Boyd. They found him guilty last week of murder of Shannon Christian, 21 at the time, and Christopher Newsom, 23 at the time. They were a young white couple. And they brought him to trial with a secret deal that was done by one of the friends, Mr. George Thomas. He made a secret deal with the state to testify against him in court to implicate him in the murders. And I want to read off the people who were involved in the crime. And the orchestrator, the ringleader, is Mr. Demarcus Davidson and three others: Latavius Cobbins, Davidson's brother; Vanessa Coleman, Cobbins' girlfriend; and George Thomas, the one who made the secret deal, was Cobbins' friend. Each admitted they were inside the Chipman Street house when the couple was held captive, but all denied having any involvement in the rape and murder of the two young couples. And what I wanted to discuss, because there's so much information that was involved, but what I wanted to discuss is the fact that, mercy, sickening. George Thomas changed his testimony from years ago because Boyd was tried first, and he got so many years just for hiding Mr. Davidson out. He was just tried for having hid him out after the fact. So he had the least amount of time. And the thing that's so crazy is, why is it now, all these years later, this guy wants to testify to get a least amount on his time? You'll probably be dead when you get out anyway. But beside the point, he took a 50-year deal in exchange for his testimony against his friend, Mr. Boyd, that he had involvement in the crime after all. So my thing is, why now are you just now mentioning that he had an involvement? Why didn't you say something years ago? I also find it odd that the other people involved in the crime never implicated Boyd as having anything to do with the kidnapping and the rape and the murders of the two kids. And I also was questioning the DNA. I wanted to know, what DNA did they have against Mr. Boyd? Was there any type of physical DNA, sperm, anything? And the only thing they said they had was his DNA on a gun holster that was in a white Sunbird that belonged to his cousin. And that was it. No gun, just DNA on the holster. And I don't even know if that holster has been linked to the crime. My last reading, it did not. But what DNA they did find, and this is very interesting, DNA that was found on Mr. Boyd's clothing at the time of apprehension was an unknown male sperm on his clothing. Now, his attorney didn't want the jury to hear that because he felt like it didn't have anything to do with his trial. So they let the jury go out. But the judge ruled that they could come back in and they could hear it. Now, mind you, the Newsom boy was raped. That was proven. He was raped. So what we have to ask ourselves is, I was kind of hoping you didn't have anything to do with, these kids being kidnapped and raped and murdered. But the fact that now, years later, your friend George has implicated you, and there was DNA found on your clothes that wasn't related to the dead boy, but was another male's sperm. So anyone sitting there thinking, okay, I'm not supposed to hear this information, I'm not supposed to use this information in this trial, but what is another man's sperm doing on your pants or your clothing or whatever? And you're standing here now on trial for kidnapping and raping these kids, raping a boy, a man. So one will lead you to think you did rape that boy. May not have found no DNA, but if they hadn't found that sperm on your pants that belonged to another male, it leads one to think that you homosexual and rape that boy? Because I was all for believing he had nothing to do with the crime itself. The kidnapping, the rape of the boy on the railroad tracks. They set him on fire. So let's be truthful here. You set him on fire. Why would you set him on fire? You set him on fire so you could hide any DNA. Anybody with sense knows that. Why was he raped? Why was this young boy raped? That's even more crazy. You all are guys. And somebody in that group raped him. But see, they couldn't get any DNA because they set him on fire, mind you. So many of you have to follow the case if you're interested. It's gritty, it's grimy. Like they said, the details of the case are horrific. What was done to these two kids, they both were raped, And it's sickening to know all this was because of a car. You rape a boy, a man. This is insane. Then you go back to the house and rape the girl and you finish her off. And I was hoping Boyd didn't have any involvement. I don't know him personally, but I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because I feel like, who wants to believe another person went along for the ride to steal a car and then also rape these two kids? But now that evidence was allowed in court of sperm being on his pants that belonged to an outside male, and this trial is about two people being raped, it leads one to believe you probably did rape that dude, and that's why you set him on fire. But let's also say his DNA was not found on Miss Shannon Christian. No DNA was found on her from him. The other two brothers, yes, sperm was found inside of her, but none of Mr. Boyd. And then an interesting thing is the cousin didn't want to testify last week that she loaned her white Sunbird to Mr. Boyd. And this car is allegedly, it was used to take the young men out to go find another car to steal, which led to this horrific kidnapping and rape and murder of these two kids. Well, Mr. Boyd, let me say this, and I say this to the other ones too. If you did this, you're a piece of shit. And they're a piece of shit. All of them are a piece of shit. Because you didn't have to do that to those kids. And I didn't want to think you had any involvement as far as of the kidnapping and the rape. I wanted to believe that, hey, you all were homeboys. He needed a place to hide out. Woo, woo, woo. You took him in, blah, 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 and whatever. But now, I'm starting to wonder. And I think I would have never even gave it another thought had I not just read this article in the Knox newspaper that DNA was found on your pants or your clothing at the time that belonged to another guy. Because you see, now it leaves one, like I said, that you like men. And that young boy was raped. And so, who's to say he would have got off? If the other ones, they never said anything, all these years went by. The other people involved in the case never said anything about Boyd, never mentioned his name. And then out of the blue, Mr. Thomas decides to take a 50-year deal from the state and implicate Mr. Eric Boyd that he was down for the ride too. And Thomas getting 50 years, who knows how that will pan out. Maybe somewhere down the road, somebody will feel sorry for him and let him out when he's, 60, 70 years old. I don't know, because he was a young man when this crime occurred back in 2007, January 2007. So he's been incarcerated since then. That's been 12 years ago. But he swears he didn't have any participation in the rape either. He heard gun flashes at the railroad tracks, but he didn't shoot nobody. He didn't see nothing. He didn't rape the girl, but he was in the house. But yet, DeMarcus and Latavius raped her. And you just sat by and didn't do anything. You didn't participate either. You were the timid one. All of y'all full of shit. All of y'all are nasty heathens and disgusting, and you don't have a mind of your own to think for yourself, and you really were too old to let some little short ass sawed off punk talk you into going out and looking to steal a car, then kidnapping these kids and raping them. And I think you even more of a coward to take that deal, because you still rode the ride, homeboy. Tennessee law. Ride in the car, you go down for whatever happens outside that damn car. And that's just the way it is. And Mr. Boyd, I was, like I said, wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to hear the evidence first, because I always like to hear the evidence before just giving an opinion or just saying, ooh, it was this, it was this. Like I said, maybe there was some reason for George saying you were involved, but maybe you were. And the fact that, like I said, that evidence on your on your clothes of another man leads me to believe that you possibly were involved. And it's sickening. And it's sickening. And it's sad to me. It's very sad. And see, you don't want to say, oh, I was disappointed because I didn't know him. He wasn't a friend or anything. Knew of someone that was related to him. But the point still remains. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that to those kids. Like the district attorney said, could have said no, could have opted out. Nah, that's okay, I'll pass. Well, everybody, that's the latest of the Eric Boyd trial here in Knoxville, Tennessee. They did find him guilty. And George Thomas took a 50-year plea deal that was knocked down from 127 years. Go figure. And I think it's sad. But it just goes to show you there's a lot of evil people running around here. And you need to be very careful the people you partake with, you befriend. Because it just goes to show you that could have been any one of us that day that got a car stolen. And it's just really sad that this happened to these two kids. And I feel terrible for those kids. And the details of her death, you have to, read the articles and the trial because it's lengthy. It's sick what they did to both of them. The way they raped that kid, that girl, both of them, what they did to her body to try to get rid of the evidence and everything, it's horrible. I mean, she suffered being alive. And imagine being suffocated with a bag and thrown upside down in a trash can. And they said she died with her eyes open. Can you imagine? You can't. Prayers to their family. And YouTube, I will bring you another update on more shenanigans going on in East Tennessee. And hey, I hope you guys liked the last video I uploaded not too long ago. Same day, because same outfit on. But yes, we had a terrible shooting in Clinton, Tennessee of a young black male who was suicidal, and the Clinton police took his life. And it's pretty sad event, because like I said, that's another case I'd like to see actual footage of him pointing the gun at the police. But it was just sad that he was shot so many times. And there will be a vigil today in Clinton, Tennessee. It is Sunday the 18th, August 18th of 2019. There'll be a vigil in Clinton, Tennessee at 4 p.m. for Mr. Weaver. His name is Jerry Orlando Weaver of Clinton. He's 51 years old. God rest your soul. Prayers to his family and condolences. And YouTube, I'll get back with you with another video of the latest shenanigans going on in East Tennessee and in the U.S. of A. You all have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.